Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 18th edition of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum and Caribbean Youth IGF Workshop in collaboration with the first ever Small Island Developing States IGF. I'm DJ Anna, a touring DJ, producer, media personality, actress, business owner, cultural ambassador of the Caribbean, and just like you, an avid user of the internet. And I'm your host for the proceedings over the next 3 days. Before we continue, I'd like to give everyone a quick joke to start things off. How do trees access the internet? Anybody? They log in. Well, now that I have everyone's attention, let me tell you a little bit about the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. The Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, CIGF, is a regional multi-stakeholder forum initiated by the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, CTU, and the Caribbean Community CARICOM Secretariat in 2005 to coordinate a regional approach to internet governance, initially focused on the proceedings of the United Nations World Summit on the Information Society. The forum has since met annually and has delivered significant and pioneering benefits to the region, including a formulation of a Caribbean Internet governance policy framework, the proliferation of Internet exchange points, capacity building in IG principles and best practices, and growth in Caribbean influence in international IG fora. The CIGF is the longest running Internet governance forum in the world. Before we continue, please pay attention to the housekeeping rules.
Please pay attention to the following announcement. To interact with our speakers today, kindly use the panel located to the right on this session page. To open and close this panel, select the first icon of the side menu. The first option is live chat, where you can speak with other attendees and comment on the live session. We ask that all conversations be professional, on topic and within CTU standards of behavior. The next tab is polls. Here you will find any polls posted during the live session. The next tab is Q&A. We ask that questions be placed here for ease of locating. Questions placed here will be directed to our speakers. Should you experience difficulties while using the platform, please email us at events@ctu.int for assistance. Today's proceedings is also being streamed to Facebook Live and YouTube.
And just to let you guys know, interpretation is being provided for attendees in Spanish and French. Below the session window, you will see interpretations. Just select the start button and then choose the audio channel you guys would like to listen to. All audio will be heard here in the selected language. Right now, I'd like to invite Mr. Rodney Taylor, Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, CTU, who will deliver the welcome and introduction to Internet governance. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rodney Taylor.
To our online participants, glad you could join us for the 18th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, or IGF, the first youth IGF and the first Small Island Developing States IGF. I'm Rodney Taylor, as DJ Anna pointed out, the Secretary General of the CTU. We're based in Trinidad and Tobago, or Sweet TNT as it is affectionately called. We are a regional intergovernmental organization established by CARICOM heads of government in 1989 to promote information technology in the Caribbean. And we have been convening the CIGF for quite a while, and this year we are very pleased to have the support of the International Telecoms Union, or the ITU, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, or ICANN, the American Registry for Internet Numbers, or ARIN, Internet Registry for Latin America and the Caribbean regions, that's LACNIC, the Internet Society, and the Trinidad and Tobago Multi-Stakeholder Advisory Group, or the TTMAG. Now, if you're hearing about these organizations for the first time, Great. Then this forum is for you, and you will be hearing all about them or all from them over the next few days. We are also have an impressive lineup of speakers, including high-level representatives from the United Nations, speaking on a wide range of topics, including the metaverse, careers in IG, and technical success factors of the internet. And you know, young people always bring fresh energy to anything they are doing, and we look forward to their session this afternoon. Tomorrow, we will be joined by the Pacific Islands and other small island developing states to look at other interesting topics. You may also wish to note that the United Nations has a global internet governance forum, and you'll be hearing from the UN IGF Secretariat shortly. But what is an IGF, you may ask? Well, let's start by asking who really uses the internet. And evidently, even the trees use the internet. And the short answer is almost everyone. And I say almost because there are just about 3 billion people without internet access still globally. And that's a big problem that needs to be fixed. Some of them are here in the Caribbean as well. So that leaves just about 5 billion who do use the internet at one level or another on a daily basis. Every day, there are people and organizations that work on policies and standards that affect how the internet operates and how it will change in the future. We think that people in the Caribbean ought to know about them and also about what they are talking about. But ultimately, we also want to be more active in those discussions and to support their work at all levels, technical and non-technical. So we can talk all day about internet protocols, TCP, IP, UDP, TLS, the different technical layers, IPv6, IPv4, IXPs, SIP, and all of these wonderful technical things. But what about online harassment, fake news, freedom of expression, affordability, reliability, gender equality and inclusion? All of these are very relevant to the internet governance discussion. And this is why we always welcome a broad set of stakeholders to these IGFs. We want new voices, we want fresh perspectives, we want to hear from young people, from women, from civil society in general, so that we can come up with policy recommendations in different areas that we can champion at the global level in the interests of the Caribbean and small island developing states. But I've said enough. I'm excited to be here today with DJ Anna, and I'm very much looking forward to some very meaningful discussions today. Welcome again from the CTU to everyone, and please share with us your thoughts and comments throughout the day. Please enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rodney Taylor, for that wonderful introduction to internet governance. We are definitely going to have an amazing time. This few days is going to be a great one. It's going to be an interactive session where we're going to have some fun with you guys and learn so many new things and reinforce some statements and information that you may have already known. We're looking forward to hearing from some of our speakers that are about to come up next. So stay tuned, because that is coming up in just a few. And of course, the 18th edition of the Internet Governance Forum and Caribbean Youth IGF is brought to you by all of our speakers. So we will have that coming up in just a few. And of course, guys, the IGF is brought to you in collaboration with the first ever Small Island Developing States IGF, and it is made possible with the support of our partners. We'd now like to invite our next speakers to bring greetings from their partner organizations. We'd like to invite Albert Daniels, Senior Manager, Stakeholder, Engagement of ICANN, Kevon Swift, Head of Public Safety Affairs at LACNIC, Bevil Wooding, Director of Caribbean Affairs at ARIN, and Shernon Osepa, Director of Caribbean Affairs and Development at ISOC. You can actually read some more about their bios and information on the Hubilo platform. Welcome to our esteemed guests on our panel.
I now see the note in the chat, and thank you very much. I couldn't hear the first part. Thank you very much for inviting the United Nations Secretariat for the Internet Governance Forum to join you on this very important occasion. This is not the first time that we are here. I think for years we've been having a really good cooperation, and I'm glad that this year that is continuing. Just at the very beginning, all of you probably from the agenda expected the head of the IGF Secretariat, Mr. Chengetai Masango, to speak. He indeed was really looking forward to speak and is a great supporter of the Caribbean IGF, especially this year with so many additions and innovations. Unfortunately, his flight got disrupted, so he couldn't be with us. But we had extensive meetings on how do we want to address the Caribbean IGF community and what is the message we would like to pass on. So if you allow me, I will say a few words on behalf of the Secretariat for the Internet Governance Forum, but also on behalf of Chengetai. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for the IGF Secretariat to join you on the occasion of the 18th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, even more so because of the incredible evolution of the process, which now includes a dedicated youth IGF and expands toward cooperation and inclusion of the small island developing states throughout a dedicated IGF framework. Our sincere congratulations on these great achievements. We also would like to use this opportunity to thank the Caribbean Telecommunications Union and the Caribbean Community Secretariat, as well as to all participating stakeholders for enabling us all to be together today. In our work on internet governance, from island territories and people, we hear different inputs. We learn about challenging nature of present digital divide associated with very high costs of infrastructure deployment. We unfortunately also learn about devastating effects natural and other forms of disasters can have. The footprint of climate change is probably most visible in areas such as yours. And at the same time, it is from you that we learn how digital can serve people in a concrete manner. We learn about ways digital technologies are supporting people in fighting floods, earthquakes, winds, storms, volcano eruptions, and similar. We also learn about the incredible human potential many communities have, whose creativity helps to interconnect people through digital despite challenges and to build digital capacity. This is why processes such as the Caribbean IGF, now especially the SIDS IGF, all national IGFs, all sub-regional and youth IGFs, including those present in your region, are very precious to us. You fight specifically complex challenges related to the digital divide and experience particular potential for digital supporting sustainable development. The world is different in internet governance priorities and related conditions. This is why we have to work as one team spread across the world to ensure one internet is accessible, affordable, safe, and secure for us all. The IGF works hard to provide a space where we all can work as one team for everyone to benefit from such internet. Just as the Secretariat communicated at the recently hosted African IGF in Malawi, everything we agree and don't agree on, everything you challenge today on this meeting and recognize as important, will inform the 17th annual IGF meeting to be hosted by the government of Ethiopia in Addis Ababa from 28th of November to 2nd of December 2022. The program is developed around the overarching theme, Resilient Internet for a Shared, Sustainable and Common Future, and warmly invites all of you to be its active part. We look forward to learning from you, from the Caribbean IGF, from the Youth Caribbean IGF, and from the SIDS IGF, and bringing all that together with you to the 17th IGF in Ethiopia. Once again, thank you very much for inviting the IGF Secretariat. Our team wishes you successful meetings, and we look forward to learn about the final outputs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anya, for that message. Of course, that message was from Chengetai Masango, Head of Office, UN IGF Secretariat, and it was delivered by Anya Gengo of the UN IGF Secretariat. Ladies and gentlemen, the 18th edition of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum and Caribbean Youth IGF Workshop, in collaboration with the first ever Small Island Developing States IGF, was made possible with the support of our partners. We now invite our next speakers to bring greetings from their partner organizations. We'd like to invite Albert Daniels, Senior Manager, Stakeholder Engagement, ICANN, Kevon Swift, Head of Public Safety Affairs, LACNIC, Bevil Wooding, Director of Caribbean Affairs, ARIN, Shernon Osepa, Director of Caribbean Affairs and Development, ISOC, and if you want some more information, read their bios on the Hubelo platform.
Great, thank you very much, DJ Anna. And good morning to everyone. On behalf of LACNIC, I'd like to extend warm greetings to all participants and panelists as we celebrate the 18th iteration of the oldest regional internet governance process in the world, the Caribbean IGF, the first Caribbean Youth IGF, and the first Small Island Developing States IGF. LACNIC stands in concert with these spaces that espouse internet governance principles, and special kudos must be given to the Caribbean Telecommunications Union for its yeoman service over the years in bringing together various actors for this exercise. LACNIC, as for us, we have also been instrumental in the development of IG initiatives, primarily as one of 3 founding fathers of the Latin American Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, or LAC-IGF, and more so now through a support system for internet governance research with the Leaders 2.0 program, whereby we provide small grants and mentorship to independent researchers or groups of independent researchers. I'll be speaking more about Leaders 2.0 during the SIDS IGF, but with a pool of what is now 47 researchers, we have had 9 candidates coming from the Caribbean with insightful papers addressing digital literacy, the mapping of cyberbullying, investigating this Caribbean ICT landscape, and e-judiciary practices. And of course, some of these candidates are featured on this very agenda of the activities that we'll be undertaking over the next couple of days. So where are we now as a Caribbean community invested in internet governance? This is a question that we must work on collectively as we seek to have a wider dissemination of IG discussions while tasked with overarching objectives of digital transformation. What internet governance teaches digital transformation is that each sector has specific responsibility and a role to play. And it's only through the spread of these practices, it's only through the collaboration and the cooperation that we will achieve the most workable outcomes for our societies. LACNIC celebrates the spread of these practices, which are open, bottom-up, transparent, and inclusive to address digital issues. Coincidentally, last week, the UN Secretary General appointed a 10-person IG leadership panel to carry out the aims of digital cooperation on a global scale. ladies and gentlemen, with the massification and globalization of technology and interconnectedness, we will no longer be seeing a separate conceptual construct such as the digital economy. We'll be simply looking at the modern economy. And therefore, it's a challenge for us as to how do we as Caribbean societies, as Pacific societies and other small island nations fit ourselves in this global digital space with our unique concerns and our unique circumstances taken into account. I look forward to the fruitful discussions over the next couple of days, and thanks once again to the organizers and participants of this discussion space.
Good morning, good afternoon to all, depending in which part of the world you are located presently. On behalf of the Internet Society, I would like to thank the Caribbean Telecommunication Union, Rodney Taylor and his team for organizing this prestigious event and for inviting us. It's always a pleasure and honor for the Internet Society to give its contribution. Once more, Caribbean Telecommunication Union is setting the standard by not only being the organization that organized the first IGF, but now is also organizing what I would call a 3-in-1 IGF, to be more specifically. The 18 Caribbean IGF, the Caribbean Youth IGF, and Small Island Development States SITS IGF.
Recording in progress.
I am not sure if even CTU is aware of this strategic move, but by focusing on the traditional IGF, we can ensure that we don't lose the expertise from those who have been around for a while, which is very important for future developments. By focusing on the youth, we can ensure a bright future, and finally, by focusing on the youth, we can ensure a bright future. And finally, what we all want is economic and social development of our region. In this particular case, Small Island Development States, hence SITS IGF. Once more, congratulations to CTU for this very strategic approach. At the Internet Society, we focus on an open, globally connected, trustworthy, and secure internet for everyone. And with everyone, I mean also the youth and the elderly, whereby our strategic goals are to build, promote, and defend the internet. That is why it is important that we develop strategies and partnerships to ensure that the internet continues to grow. But we also need to secure the internet, focusing on topics such as community networks, peering infrastructures, IXPs, technical community, academia, measuring the internet, low Earth orbit satellites, LEOs, help us to better understand how more people can be connected to the internet. On the other hand, topics such as extending encryption, internet way of networking, routing security, sharing cutting-edge knowledge, and the assess digital sovereignty can help us to identify possible challenges that may harm the internet. Once more, congratulations to CTU for organizing this event, and I look forward to the discussions that should serve as guidelines to help us to have a much better developed Caribbean region. Thank you.
Thank you, Shernon. Thank you, Kevon, and welcome to everyone joining this, the 2022 Caribbean Internet Governance Forum and Caribbean Youth IGF Workshop, which is being held, of course, as those before me have said, in conjunction with the inaugural Small Island Developing States IGF. Good morning, good day to you all, wherever you are in the Caribbean or around the world. It's a particular pleasure for me to bring you greetings on behalf of the American Registry for Internet Numbers, ARIN. My name is Bevil, and ARIN has been a long-standing partner of the CTU and of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum from its early years. And so it is a real delight for me to see how this forum has evolved and how it is evolving again this year to include this special and dedicated track for the youth, and especially pleasing to see the fruit of the collaborations that have led to the first ever Small Island Developing States IGF. Kudos to all who have made this possible, and special congratulations to the Secretary General of the CTU, Mr. Rodney Taylor, and the dedicated team at the CTU for facilitating these important forums. I know for some of you, this is the first time that you might be participating in the CIGF. And so you might ask, well, why are these deliberations important? Well, let me see if I can explain to you just how much we are living in the future that was spoken of when the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum was formed 18 years ago. At that time, the discussions around the role the internet would play in global society and in Caribbean society was still emerging. There was still, at that time, debates around how much it would impact life. And here we are in 2022, heading into 2023, and we can safely say that one, technology has become more deeply integrated into every single facet of work and life, of home and business. We can also say that the still present pandemic has accelerated the movement of families, communities, companies, and even governments online. And it has sped up or catalyzed the implementation of digital technologies and services in areas and in industries that were previously very slow to embrace technology. And of course, as several have said and hinted to before, paradoxically, technology also seems to be central to both the cause and the solution of some of our most vexing problems, whether it's climate change, crime, health, justice, or social equity. There is a technology solution for that, but there's also a technology cause behind the acceleration of some of our most challenging modern issues. So in a relatively few short years, it seems that technology has moved from the fringe of our consciousness, a science experiment that only engineers and geeks needed to understand, to now being at the very heart of business, of government, and of life itself. It is a frame really upon which modern life is constructed, and the base by which the progress of nations is now defined. As a regional internet registry, ARIN observes and understands very well that the requirement to embrace technology is not primarily a business challenge, nor an economic challenge. Rather, it is a human development challenge. And that's why it's important for us to understand the importance of the forum that is the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. It is relevant to understand that the problems that we face, whether they're in health, education, security, community development, cannot be solved without some appropriate injection or application of technology. And neither will these problems be possible to address without an emphasis on dialogue, collaboration, and collective action. This is what the forum is about, a place for not just speaking, but for solution framing that will impact local as well as regional development goals. And it is for this reason that ARIN has been a strong supporter of both the CTU and the CIGF from the inception. As a regional internet registry, we are concerned primarily for the stability, security, and openness of the global internet. We believe that the CIGF is a vital forum for the region, and we believe that the deliberations that are to be had this year are absolutely essential in shaping global understanding of the challenges, issues, and opportunities being faced in small, emerging, and developing countries. This, of course, is also fundamental to securing the growth of the internet itself and the communities that it touches. So we therefore congratulate the CTU, its member governments, and the supporting organizations on the launch of this 18th edition of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum and the Caribbean Youth Internet Governance Workshop in collaboration with the Small Island Developing States IGF. ARIN wishes to reaffirm its commitment to supporting not just this forum, not just the CTU and its member states, but also supporting development of the internet in the Caribbean for the benefit of all. I thank you and wish you all a wonderful 18th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum.
so much, Mr. Bevil Wooding, for giving us that message on behalf of our partners at ARIN. Right about now, we'd like to invite Mr. Albert Daniels, the Senior Manager of Stakeholder Engagement at ICANN. Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you, DJ Anna. Secretary General of the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, Mr. Rodney Taylor. Deputy Secretary General, Mr. Nigel Cassimire. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen online and here in beautiful Trinidad and Tobago at the CTU in person. Internet governance continues to be a topic of high interest globally, and perhaps even more so now as reliance on a single, stable, secure and interoperable internet increased dramatically during the high point of the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, ICANN, remains steadfast in pursuit of its mandate to coordinate and manage the Internet's unique system of identifiers based on policies developed by the global multi-stakeholder community. Our focused role as part of a collaborative effort of many entities to keep the Internet operating smoothly requires that we work with and support organizations like the Caribbean Telecommunications Union in bringing stakeholders together to discuss issues and challenges related to the Internet which face the community, in particular in this instance in the Caribbean. We applaud the CTU for having the foresight to initiate and facilitate these types of discussions, and particularly over the next 2 days, as you've heard before, to integrate the Youth IGF and the inaugural Small Island Developing States SIDS IGF into the program. It is critically important for stakeholders to have robust and substantive discussions on matters pertaining to Internet governance, as the business, social and recreational aspects of our lives now rely so heavily on the important technology of the Internet. ICANN therefore looks forward to continue working with the regional Internet registries, ARIN and LACNIC, which operate in the Caribbean, with the Internet Society, and with other regional organizations such as the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, CARICOM, CANTO, and of course the Caribbean Telecommunications Union in the interests of Caribbean stakeholders in this regard. We congratulate the CTU on this 18th iteration of the CIGF and pledge to put our support behind upcoming activities over the next 3 days as the policy framework for Internet governance in Caribbean is developed. We will be launching a survey at the SIDS IGF to collect data to help us better understand the challenges faced by SIDS to participation in ICANN as a critical element of ensuring that all of the important voices of even the smallest stakeholders feature in the considerations and deliberations in these global and regional fora. And we look forward to getting input from a wide cross-section of stakeholders. We are happy to be here in person as travel begins to open up, and we look forward to successful activities over the next 3 days. And I am here in Trinidad, so I expect to see my colleagues Bevil and Kevon, and also Shernon right here in beautiful TNT at the CTU. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and we look forward to a successful deliberations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daniels. We're definitely proud to have ICANN be a part of the IGF this year. And right now, I'd like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Nigel Cassimire, the Deputy Secretary General of the CTU, to review the CIGF vision and mission. Thank you so much, Mr. Cassimire.
Thank you, Anna. I'm very happy to be here to look at what we've done over the 18 years. One might say that the CIGF is now 18, we're old enough to vote. So essentially we want to be doing adult things. I do have a few PowerPoint slides to share with you. And if I can have them come up, that would help me. Yes, hopefully you can see the title of the presentation. Basically, that's what I'll be going through, you know, a little bit about what we've done, some of our current initiatives, and looking forward. In terms of the CTU, of course, is our CARICOM institution. That's a local, a regional intergovernmental organization. And our core activities can be categorized in 5 broad categories. One related to ICT harmonized policy formulation, capacity development. We coordinate regional projects as well. We represent the Caribbean at multiple ICT fora around the world. And we also perform an industry watch function where we look at trends that are coming up in the industry so that we can properly advise our governments and other stakeholders. This initiative of the Caribbean Internet Governance Forum falls under item number 1, which is us trying to harmonize our ICT policy formulation around the region. We've talked about 18 years. The first, excuse me, the first CIGF was held in 2005, and since then our focus has been on harmonizing regional policies and also focusing on issues of priority for the Caribbean. This matter of internet governance is very broad. It has technical aspects associated with it, it has legal aspects, it has social aspects, economic aspects, because the internet pervades all aspects of life. So some of these matters, in fact, all of these matters are of relevance to the Caribbean, but in terms of our limited resources, we've always had the approach of focusing on, identifying and focusing on Caribbean priority issues. So we've done that consistently. And also, over the years, we've been promoting the acceleration of internet development in the Caribbean and use in the Caribbean. We've done this through different projects, development of different projects, and building the capacity of our people in the region. So everyone has said that the CIGF is the longest running regional IGF forum. A little more detail, it's a non-hierarchical multi-stakeholder forum. What does that mean? It means it's a place where governments, private sector, civil society, academia, technical community representatives, and so on, can all come together and speak on an equal basis in discussing the issues relevant to the operations of the internet and the development of policies and norms and so on associated with the orderly use and running of the internet. That's what the term internet governance essentially means. The CIGF is focused on, as I said, harmonizing and addressing priority matters, but quite importantly, because the CTU convenes it, it is also a pathway to influence the policymakers in the government, so that we, through the CTU hierarchy, can address policy proposals to our ICT ministers around the Caribbean, and hence we also have also through the CTU's channels, we also have a channel into the heads of government even of the CARICOM region. So what comes out of CIGF can benefit from the pathway of the CTU to influence policymakers in the Caribbean. There are lots of IGFs around the world now. Ours is more than just a preparatory meeting for some of the others, because there are Latin American Caribbean IGF, and there's of course the global UN IGF. We do prepare for those and prepare our people for participating in those, but we seek to focus on harmonizing things for our Caribbean people. And I'll be talking a little bit about some of the achievements associated with doing that. And in more recent times, we've been seeking to enhance the synergies with those other IGFs as well, and our own CIGF. I won't dwell too much on this because it's been 18 years. The key point I would like to point out is the underlying portion, which is the Caribbean Internet Governance Policy Framework. And that's really a documentation of the collective vision of the Caribbean for internet governance, for the development of an internet society, an information society, and for internet governance in the Caribbean. We'll have a lot more discussion about that later on this morning, so I won't kind of dwell on that. But we've certainly pulled out all the stops in terms of developing capacity in the Caribbean and developing internet projects in the Caribbean, like internet exchange points, and developing national IGFs as well in the Caribbean. We have 3 that had been spawned from our efforts to date. Everything hasn't been hunky-dory. There have been challenges that we've noted, and we have had to change our approach as the years have gone on. We've noted that there had been an insufficient attention to internet governance matters at the national and governmental sort of levels throughout the Caribbean. You know, internet governance was more had been more important to, like, civil society users, academia, and even private sector who might have been interested in e-commerce and stuff like that. But this, of course, is changing with the COVID-driven thrust to digital transformation. Everyone is into digital transformation now, including governments. So I think matters of internet governance, especially things like data protection, privacy, and so on, are, well within view now of all the stakeholders. A common problem within CARICOM is that translating regional initiatives into national action. And similarly, we had the same problem. We came up with some regional proposals that maybe weren't so readily implemented at the national levels. And we've had to adjust our approach to create and motivate national IGFs to follow through on the ground level in the individual nations with some of the actions. There's generally a lack of capacity to benefit fully from the CIGF, and that has been the reason for our continuous capacity building efforts. And in addition, there's also we have a lot of partners, for example, and we've heard from some of them this morning, and there are others, the development partners like the IDB and World Bank and so on, who well-intentioned in making interventions in the Caribbean, but their interventions have not necessarily been well coordinated. So we in the CTU have been seeking to also coordinate better all those interventions from all of our partners and developmental agencies. So part of what we are doing now, and this has been for the last, I would say 5 to 8 years, is that we've been collaborating with regional and international internet organizations and national organizations as well, like ISOC chapters or advocacy groups, computer societies in different of our member states, essentially to help execute internet governance activities at the national level. And we've been assisting them with progressive awareness and education campaigns for different audiences. Sometimes it's as simple as computer literacy. Other times it's building an understanding of the risks of using the internet, cybersecurity type matters, and so on. And so we've been working at a lot of levels with multiple stakeholders to get these things done at the national level. This is a kind of picture of the transition we are making. The left-hand side of this, that structure which says from, basically had the CTU putting the CIGF together and creating a forum where these stakeholders could get together and talk about these matters. On the right-hand side, we are transitioning into developing national internet governance fora or national multi-stakeholder fora to actually follow through at the national level with concrete projects and initiatives coming from regional agreements or regionally harmonized approaches. On the right-hand side, and we are still in a transition phase, we are hoping to create a Caribbean Internet Development Coordination Mechanism. One might say maybe we create some sort of an institute, maybe we create some sort of a foundation, but the intention there is to get the partner organizations involved in supporting whatever this coordination mechanism turns out to be. At present, the coordination mechanism is the CTU, but we feel it would be best and the CTU brings the stakeholders together to put this forum together and undertake other initiatives. But we think it would be best if we could have a more, a sort of a standing team or mechanism, an institute, a foundation or something that could take over the CTU role. And the CTU will continue to be one of the stakeholders in this. So looking for the future, we are continuing our thrust towards national IGFs and developing national stakeholder communities. We'll continue to work with Caribbean stakeholders to promote the policy recommendations that emerge both at regional and national levels, and make a successful transition into sustainable multi-stakeholder arrangements for the CIGF work. We're continuing to as well enhance linkages with other IGFs, and at the operational level continuously identify what our priorities are and follow through on appropriate action in that regard. For this particular edition of our 18th IGF and all the related events associated with it, the agenda is published, and one can see that we'll be addressing key current issues in internet governance. We'll also be reviewing our IG priorities in the Caribbean, and we have a special session for that where we'll be looking at the internet governance policy framework. This year, of course, we have a special youth outreach. We have the youth IGF and our youth host as well, Anna, and the inaugural SIDS IGF. And finally, we'll also be looking to enhance the growth of and the liaisons with the other IGFs, in both national, regional, and global. So what can you do? You've tuned in, you're watching us here. It's possible you get involved and make your voice heard. The one thing I've learned about internet governance in the years in which I've been associated with it is that everybody has the opportunity to make their voice heard. And when I say everybody, individuals, organizations, governments, educational institutions, whomever, there are opportunities to do that. And in this particular CIGF and the SIDS IGF even that will be following us over the next couple of days, you have the opportunity. So please do so. Follow the Internet Governance Content and Fora on the CTU website, ctu.int. Again, actively participate in this 18th CIGF. There will be opportunities for you to ask questions and interact with the multiple speakers. And if you prefer to write, you can also submit comments and feedback to CIGF at ctu.int. So with that, that is my general starting overview of the CIGF and its history. And I'll turn back now to our host, Anna, for our next segment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cassimire, of course, for giving us some insight into the CIGF's goals and achievements. And guys, we can definitely understand just how important the CIGF is to the Caribbean and its counterparts. Our next speakers will provide an update on national, regional, and global IGF events that have been taking place that I am sure will be of interest to you. So pay attention. They're actually going to be presenting in the following order. We're going to have, once again, Ms. Anya Gengo from the UN IGF Secretariat, and from Trinidad and Tobago, we have Rabindra Jaggernauth.
You could probably read all the others.
Anna, is that giving me a floor, or a colleague would come before me?
Anna?
Yes, we'd like to invite.
first.
Yes, we'd like to invite Ms. Anya to speak at this time. Thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to address you again. And indeed, on a very important point, Nigel gave such a good overview of the value in theory, but also in practice, of the IGF processes that exist around the world. I think if you're associated with the Caribbean IGF, but also with the number of the, especially national IGFs and the youth IGFs in the region, then obviously you are aware of the value of the multi-stakeholder dialogue on internet governance issues the community sets as a priority. And I think I said it at the beginning in the Secretariat's remark delivered on behalf of the head of our office, that your region is very specific because of the issues that you are experiencing. And we don't hear often, especially how digital transformation serves people and helps them to prevent or alleviate consequences of a disasters that in this part of the world we can only read in the newspapers and hear from the media. And as much as obviously that's very unfortunate, it's very precious to have those inputs from you, and speaks about the value of the digital technologies and the need to have good digital policies to make these technologies available to all the people. And on the note that you are in a good position in the region, there are plenty of opportunities, I think, for people in the Caribbean to engage directly in the IGF processes, starting obviously from the Caribbean IGF. I think Kevon mentioned the Latin American and the Caribbean IGF that exists for several years now. A number of national IGFs that are well developed there. For us, they represent such a learning point in terms of how the process could be established, and then what the substance is about, what the digital technologies is about, what are the requirements of digital policy. In that sense, in terms of the NRIs, as you know, the Secretariat is facilitating the overall coordination, or better yet, cooperation among all the NRIs. Currently, there are 153 officially recognized NRIs, so short for national, regional, and sub-regional youth IGFs. And we are in a really responsible but wonderful position to be able to work directly with all those NRIs and their multi-stakeholder organizing teams, and through that with their communities. And I'll just give you a short update how that is being done at the present moment, and what are the plans for the coming months for all of us in preparing for the Ethiopian IGF. So as I said, the 153 NRIs, and there are 2 or 3 national IGFs that we expect that they will be joining us very soon. For example, the Eswatini IGF, we had such a extensive communication over the past couple of months that we really expect that very soon we will be recognizing and kind of welcoming that national IGF to the NRI's network. And through the NRI coordinators, which are our critical partners, we maintain communication with all the NRIs, and the coordinators are meeting monthly or bi-monthly, sometimes even more during month, depending on the demand, on various items. What we are now very much focused on is the main session that all the NRIs will be preparing for the upcoming 17th IGF in Ethiopia. The main session, the topic has been agreed in a bottom-up manner by all the NRIs almost at the beginning of this year. It is focusing on safeguarding and strengthening the core principles of a trusted internet. In addition to the main session, as I said, which is being prepared in a bottom-up manner by all the NRIs, there are 5 NRIs collaborative sessions. So those are kind of workshop-like sessions. We like to refer to them as NRIs to NRIs exchanges. Many of the national IGF, the Caribbean IGF are also active in preparing all these sessions. These collaborative sessions are very precious to us for 2 reasons. The first reason is that they are an opportunity for us to understand very specific input from certain communities, countries, and regions. on a topic that the NRIs found as of mutual interest. And then the second objective goes really beyond just an annual IGF process and a certain session that's been hosted at the annual IGF meeting. This is to build cooperation among the NRIs. It's very important that we know each other for, I think, obvious reasons, given the complexity of digital policy and generally digital technology landscape. And so those collaborative sessions will allow us, hopefully, for a very rich cooperation on topics related to universal connectivity, cooperation to protect data, child safety online, looking into the 20 years almost after the original VISIS process to understand where we are, as well as the ways how digital policy impacts and shapes democracy. And so those are the topics where we have a number of NRIs involved. If you would like to learn more about these topics, how you can become active voice within those discussion arenas, then I do encourage you to visit the IGF website and to explore the preparatory status of these workshops and how you can be engaged. The same, of course, applies also on the main session. And finally, we are soon starting now more actively work on preparing the open work meeting, which is traditionally always hosted at the annual IGF meeting, between all the NRIs, between the UN in terms of its institutional affiliation with the IGF, between the chair of the multi-stakeholder advisory group. We count that the leadership panel, which has been appointed just recently, will also be participating actively in these discussions, given that the work of the NRIs is recognized as probably one of the most critical pillars of global internet governance forum ecosystem, let's say. And then, of course, all the other stakeholders. In this sense, I always use every opportunity to recognize the stakeholders who are from the international scene supporting the NRIs, which is very important. The NRIs come with financial costs. They come also with costs of other nature, and they really need support in all that broad sense. And so in that sense, I like to recognize stakeholders such as ICANN, for example, ISOC and ISOC Foundation, IGF Support Association, a number of big private tech companies which are supporting the NRIs by providing certain financial grants annually. The IGF Secretariat, the UNDESA as well, joined that effort since 2019. We are providing financial grants to the eligible NRIs. It's limited, but I'm glad that that capacity is growing. And I'm hoping that others will follow those examples because those types of sustainability in terms of funding and in terms of support to the NRIs provide directly to sustainability of the internet governance ecosystem in a broad sense of that word. And we've seen that really through our practices in working with the NRIs. In that sense, those are the activities around the NRIs. What I think is also important for you to know is that because the NRIs as a network grew over the past couple of years significantly, we are in a position where we primarily, I mean the NRIs, the coordinators, the committees, we know each other well. And in that sense, we, I think, laid a very fertile ground for cooperating on other matters and supporting processes which are of global nature but are impacting all of us. Let me start from the IGF and tell you the role of the NRIs there. Currently, the IGF is very much focused on engaging young people and on engaging legislators, so members of parliament in its processes. Both, I think, both types of communities are very important because at one side you have those that tomorrow will take the roles of decision leaders, decision makers, decision shapers. On another side, you have those that are concretely making decisions which are impacting all of us through enacting laws and bringing policies. And in that sense, the NRIs are critical in contributing to both the youth track and the parliamentary track by connecting us to those that belong to the targeted communities and also raising awareness on the side of these communities in various countries and regions that there are so many open opportunities for them to engage, and they only need to kind of show up and present themselves to those opportunities. The call for travel support for now is open until the end of this month in case there are those that would like to in person participate at the 17th IGF in Addis Ababa. I strongly recommend and encourage everyone to consider applying to that call if you are eligible. Details are on the IGF website's homepage, and the IGF Secretariat is really at your disposal to respond to any of the related questions. In case you're not able to travel, I know it's a long way from that region to Ethiopia, organizing or hosting a remote hub is a good opportunity. We had good cooperation with some of the countries through the national IGFs in the region, like for example, Haiti, but also others. And it would be good maybe to look at those examples of good practices and follow the lead by gathering your communities in a comfort of a certain space in your city and following and participating directly, actively in the IGF discussions over the course of 4 or 5 days during the 17th IGF in Ethiopia. I also want to just close with one opportunity for the NRIs from which I think the local communities would benefit, but certainly the IGF would benefit as well. That is the open call for renewing the multi-stakeholder advisory group. The NRIs are critical in that sense to us as well, because we are getting experts from different countries and regions, which are very hard to reach from the side of the Secretariat, being a very small office somewhere in Geneva. But you know those experts, and we are thankful that you are helping us to reach those, and hopefully you can help us this year as well to encourage them to apply for to be members of the MAG and help us plan the next year's IGF hosted by the government of Japan. So I think I've shared quite a lot on the NRIs. As I said, we are expanding our domain of work, and that just speaks, I think, about the success of all the NRIs and their importance to the IGF. In particularly, I just want to close with mentioning that the UN processes which are going beyond the IGF in terms of its mandate and the Tunis Agenda for the Information Society, such, for example, is the Our Common Agenda, which is a very recent report from the United Nations Secretary General, is a process which in its implementation mode really counts on the support from the NRIs. It's Global Digital Compact, which I'm sure it's very much as a concept present in your region. I'm sure will depend on the NRI's input as a valuable multi-stakeholder local input that could hopefully orient the work on the level of the UN in terms of bringing or putting together principles and values for good digital policy and good digital technology framework use that we all want to see. So with that, thank you very much. I obviously am online, ready to respond to any of the questions, and eager to hear from my other colleagues on this panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anya. We're definitely excited to have you be a part of the Internet Governance Forum, and we look forward to hearing more from you very soon. And I'm really interested to hear that discussion on how digital policy shapes democracy, so I'm looking forward to that. But right about now, we're going to be welcoming Mr. Rabindra Jaggernauth from Trinidad and Tobago.
Great. Morning, everybody. And let me start off by congratulating the CTU for hosting its 18th Governance Forum. And interestingly enough, the topic, Internet Governance Priorities for ICT-Driven Development, whether it was intended or not, is a natural follow-on to the Trinidad and Tobago Internet Governance Forum, which was hosted by us, the TTMAG, in January of 2022. Our topic at the time was really the future of the internet, what's next? And what I will do is, we have a very compressed time frame. I will actually touch on the let's say, what transpired at our Internet Governance Forum, and provide all of the attendees here with the link to get the detailed report. We did our detailed report, and as mentioned by some of the previous speakers, it is important that the deliberations of our Internet Governance Forums reach the requisite parties. And in a lot of cases, for the small island developing states, it really means the government within the region. So I will actually quickly go through what transpired and give you the link so that you can determine, you can actually read exactly what were the outcomes. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, if I can. Okay, sorry for the slight delay. Good, and I hope everybody can see the screen. And just to let you know, these internet governance forums, whether it's at national level or the regional level and so on, or the global level, is so important because no one person owns the internet, no single entity owns the internet, although there have been, let's say, initiatives recently to try and change that. Hopefully they will be unsuccessful. And it's really owned by all of us. And really these forums provide an opportunity for all of us to indicate what are some of our concerns, what are things we like, what we don't like, and let that filter up to the national level, to the regional level, to the global level. So what transpired, our chair, Anita Sohan, provided a rationale for the team. The team was selected to reflect the current climate in Trinidad and Tobago after being forced into a digital age. Adapting was necessary, but our emphasis was really thriving after really coming out of the pandemic. And I jokingly indicated to a number of people that because I've been lobbying in the internet space, in the IT space for roughly over 20 years, close to 30 years and so on, and seeing, let's say, baby steps towards development. If I knew a pandemic at that time would actually catapult us into the digital age, I would have probably engineered it. Folks, I'm only joking. We had introductory remarks from Ariat Esterhuisen, outgoing chair of the UN IGF MAG, and provided a number of thoughts for us. Interestingly enough, at the end of her speech, and I'll leave you all to read all the details because the presentation is available at the CTO event site. She mentioned that there were lots of opportunities, but how do we do this? And she started by saying, how do you eat an elephant? How do you actually manage all of these initiatives that you are faced with, all of these challenges that you are faced with? And very smartly said, mouthful by mouthful, bit by bit. Let us not bite off more than we can chew, but let's actually make the progress by mouthful. We also had Senator the Honorable Hassel Bacchus, our Trinidad and Tobago Minister of Digital Transformation, who actually provided insight, provided welcome remarks for sure, but provided insight into what is happening with the Ministry of Digital Transformation and what were some of the challenges. And he actually also identified that the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has defined 3 pillars, central pillars for digital transformation: digital society, digital economy, and digital government, all of which needs to come together in order for us to progress further as a country, leveraging on the internet and leveraging on ICT as a whole. We had introductory remarks from Vincent, who we all know, Vice President and Chief Internet Evangelist for Google. Vint is a long-standing friend for a lot of us in the region, and he actually gave us some guidelines for really what he would like to see achieved out of our deliberations. He expressed a hope that topics would include the importance of infrastructure and investment into all modalities, and he noted that even though internet connectivity has increased and so on, it's not available to everybody. So he provided some thoughts for us to actually hold on to, and he in turn ended up being our keynote speaker, talking a lot later in the session. We don't want to underestimate all the value in what needs to be done, but he also recommended caution with regards to the risk related to disinformation, bullying, cyberbullying, ransomware, denial of service, etc. Provided some good guidelines for us to follow and for the audience to actually focus on as we actually progress through our IGF 2022. Our first session was, our first panel was becoming a digitally competent society. And the moderator was Sanjay Bahadur Singh, who's our treasurer, the TTMAC treasurer. But it's interesting that we had a nice eclectic combination of panelists. We had Pandit Shiva Maharaj, who actually is really a practitioner. We had Dr. Roland Dubar from UTT, University of Trinidad and Tobago. We had a student, Swasti Maharaj, and we had internet user parents. The students and the parents brought a perspective from their point of view. What were their challenges and what things worked well during the pandemic? And we had Darren Mohammed representing Microsoft to provide their perspective on what they are doing to assist countries really with progressing the internet governance. Then we had, let me just see if I can, sorry. Our next panel was moderated by Nigel Cassimire, who we heard from just a short while ago, talks about data and measurement for development. And we had some key persons, Professor Patrick Hussein, who is well recognized for his role that he's playing in promoting data analysis, data, all of these things related to data. And joining him was Kim Malalu, a senior lecturer at UWI. We also had Niran Bihari, chairperson of ISOC TT, and a representative, Annie Baldev, from the Telecommunications Authority. Again, provided perspective on really, with all of the data that is being collected, both by the private sector and in particular by regional governments, how can we actually use that data, analyze that data for development purposes? And it was really a wonderful discussion. The other session, and these sessions all built upon each other, was really talking about internet and law, moderated by myself. And we had Rishi Maharaj, from a principal consultant privacy advisory services person, a practitioner himself. Grace Lindo was an attorney at law and partner who focuses on this area, but a Jamaican person and providing the Jamaican perspective. Tira Green is a consultant who has been helping the Trinidad and Tobago government with their, let's say, updating of the Data Protection Act and the Electronic Transactions Bill. So she was certainly was able to provide input into what was transpiring in her interaction with the Trinidad and Tobago government. And we had a representative from a financial institution who provided insight into, from their perspective, what are the challenges that they're facing, and giving some advice as to how persons can leverage the internet and really participate more with the online banking environment. Panel session 4 was Trinidad and Tobago's digital transformation journey. And the previous session really was all leading into this as kind of the umbrella session to close off our panelist discussions. The moderator was Ajmal Nazir, a director of TTMAG and one of our past presidents. And we had a well-recognized regional consultant, Anthony Watkins. We had again a practitioner in the area of financial transactions and fintechs, Candice Transcurso. Master Christiane Morris Allen is a court executive administrator from the Judiciary of Trinidad and Tobago. And we had her on because the judiciary for a number of years have been actually at the forefront of really looking to leverage on technology, leverage on the internet, leverage on ICT to actually really manage and deliver justice in Trinidad. They have made progress, and she provided some insight into the progress, but also cautioned us as to some of the lessons that they have learned on their journey. Then Our feature address, Vincent, very well received by the group. Mentioned that, as I mentioned before, that although the internet was introduced with a vision of all persons having access to the internet, to date only half the world has access to it. So satellites are widely proliferating, but we still have this discrepancy, this division, this divide, if you want to call it, between those who have the resources and therefore are making much greater progress than the ones who have less access and less resources and not really progressing as much in the digital world. His lessons, well, his biggest challenge really was digital transformation. It mostly lies within the software. You will get the transformation once you can figure out how to use it. But the broader thing he was saying is that you don't necessarily have to actually look to develop everything from scratch. There's a lot that is available in the world outside there that have been tried and tested. Why don't we leverage on that, learn how to actually use those things and tailor it to our uses? And then made complete sense what he said. And of course, he finished off by saying privacy can be considered an anomaly because of the instance of security cameras. There's a lot of data, both video and hard data that's being captured. So there's not much privacy. How do we cope in a world where this is actually going to be the norm? And Tracy Hackshaw, at the time was our chair-elect, but he's now our chair for the TTMAG 2022-2023, hosted the open forum where we got the audience, the participants, to indicate what were some of their thoughts, their perspective, their challenges. And without going into further details, it addressed technology facilitating gender-based violence, which was something that is very prevalent at the time in Trinidad. Provided people in the audience provided an update, and people in the know provided an update about TNT's Electronic Transactions Act and Data Protection Act. People raised issues about children's rights in the digital age, which is becoming even more of a concern. And things, of course, are being slowly put in place to address some of these concerns. He talked about, well, one of the participants talked about a computer refurbishment initiative that their group is actually undertaking, indicating that they have actually refurbished over 250 laptops and provided it to actually needy persons within the community. So a lot of discussions within a short space of time, and it's a pity that we don't have enough time to go through all of the outcomes. But here's where you have access to the full report. Feel free to download the report. The report has been done and submitted to all of the key stakeholders, including the government of Trinidad and Tobago. And we welcome, if you want to download it and really go through it and see how you can actually, let's say, participate in really this future, as CTU has indicated it, internet governance priorities for ICT-driven development. There are lots of good things inside there. And of course, we've already saved the date. Our TTIGF is going to be in January of next year. We are still working on the theme and polling a lot of the let's say, the various stakeholders to come up with a theme that will resonate with everybody. So folks, it was a wonderful experience. It is the 6th time that we had actually conducted an Internet Governance Forum, and each time building upon it. We were even fortunate in 2020 to have our Internet Governance Forum before the pandemic struck and there was this major lockdown. And in 2020 was really the Internet and You. The U really an abbreviation for the youth, because that year we focused very much on the youth and got the youth involved in all of the panel discussions and sessions that led to some wonderful, interesting output. These things, as indicated by Anya and a lot of the speakers before, is so very important to the welfare of the respective countries. Internet Governance Forum provides a forum for people to express their views. We take into account those views submitted to the respective stakeholders, and eventually it filters up to the Global Internet Governance Forum, where policies are established that impact upon the utility of the internet. So look forward to seeing some of you in the audience January 26th and 27th. And thank you very much for affording us the opportunity to provide you with an idea of what transpired with our Internet Governance Forum for 2022. So thank you very much, and over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rabindra, for giving us that synopsis on the TTIGF. And of course, we have speakers from all around the world that are going to be joining us for the IGF this year. And now we'd like to welcome Mr. Willis Williams from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for joining us.
Okay, Willis is still muted.
Very sorry about that. Yes. Again, thank you, Anna, and for hosting us, for having us at, well, really relatively short notice. And let me congratulate the CTU for hosting this meet today. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we completed our IGF just about 2-3 weeks ago. It was plagued by regular things that happen around Caribbean, and in St. Vincent in particular, we had issues with volcanic eruption, still suffering from some of that effects, some spill outs and so on. In that it affects schools and young people and how they gather and so on. What we thought we would do this year was to partner with an organization called STEM, which expands to be science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It's an educational organization. They host a sort of summer program and bring a group of young people, children, secondary school age together. And we thought, because that is usually our target audience, young people, where we sort of trying to get them into technology and get them to conform to proper protocol and ethics and so on. We thought this would be a good opportunity to see if we could partner with STEM. STEM was quite happy, and they allowed us to take one of their days, one of their programming days, to host our IGF and to address an audience that they brought, that was part of their program. The target group was children age 11 to 15, and we may have found 1 or 2 10-year-olds in there, maybe a 16-year-old in there and so on. But our experience is that they were very, very interested in what we had. The topic this year was embracing digital citizenship. And as young people, they wanted to know what is digital citizenship, who is a digital citizen, and so on. So they break out topics from the team digital citizenship, break out topics centered around explaining what digital citizenship was and what it entailed and all the elements of the digital citizenship. So we had speakers from different organizations in St. Vincent. We had speakers from the police department. They spoke about digital law. We had a speaker from we had a speaker from St. Vincent Electricity Services, which I also represent. spoke about digital citizenship in general, how it applies to your everyday life. We had a speaker from a news agency called Eyewitness News. He spoke about fake news and digital etiquette. And we had the speaker from Get Safe Online, and it generally came together nicely. The children were really, really interactive. They had lots of questions. Surprisingly, we have to admit that kids are now more into their computers and their gadgets, and seem now to want to know a little more about policy and so on than ever before, which leads me to conclude that our IGF efforts are working, it's taking root. In the past, we have been targeting children from community college level, and they graduate and they go out into the work field, and now we just go a little earlier, and we're seeing that the interest is there. The IGF was put off in a sort of a constrained type of environment. We had, however, really, really good cooperation from the general public in terms of publicizing it. We had non-ISOC people volunteer to assist in things like on the day to do videotaping and so on. Some of that product is still being compiled and will be, because the event was just so recent, all that has not been put together yet. But generally, we had a very encouraging experience, and I'm going to be short. We had a very encouraging experience, and we think that we have lessons learned, and we may very well use some of these experiences to inform the next IGF, which will be in 2023. We usually try to do it close to the ending of the school year. We were put off a bit this year because of the pushing back of the CXC exams and so on. So it's a lot of things, moving parts that we have come together to get it to work. Everything came together nicely, and we were very happy with the outcome. On behalf of ISOC St. Vincent, the IGF, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to express and to share what we've been doing here. Our membership is growing, and people are taking greater part. We have a lot of projects online, and I'm sure if you're following your news items, one will be aware of that. St. Vincent's ISOC is vibrant, and we're moving. With that, I want to say thanks for having us today. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Mr. Willis. And of course, we're really happy to have St. Vincent and the Grenadines represented in the CIGF this year. And it's great to hear that St. Vincent and the Grenadines is placing emphasis on the youth and their involvement in internet governance. Thanks so much, Mr. Willis. Right now, we'd like to welcome from the LAC TLD, Rocio de la Fuente. Thank you, Rocio. We'd like to welcome you.
Thank you. So first of all, thank you very much to the CTU and organizers of the Caribbean IGF. It is a pleasure for me to participate in this session. My name is Rocio de la Fuente. I am the General Manager of LACTLD, the Latin American and Caribbean CCTLD Association. But today I am participating in this session as a member of the LAC-IGF Program Committee. The LAC-IGF, as you may know, is the Latin American and Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. And in this program committee, I am one of the 3 representatives of the technical community, together with Miguel Ignacio Estrada from LACNIC and Christian O'Flaherty from the Internet Society. Before sharing my brief report, I would like to excuse Shamila Venturini, who is also a member of the program committee, as a representative of the civil society. Shamila had intended to participate, but since she's currently traveling, she has not been able to join us in this session. So to start my brief report, I would like to give a brief introduction of the LAC-IGF. This forum, after 14 editions, has become a regional space for the multi-stakeholder dialogue, where actors from governments, the private sector, the technical community, academia, and civil society present and discuss their perspectives on the most relevant issues for the governance of the internet in Latin America and the Caribbean. And also this forum, along its editions, has supported and contributed to the efforts to regionalize the discussion of the global agenda for the Internet Governance Forum at the global level. One of the main updates that I wanted to talk about today is the new bylaws. So as you may know, in early 2019, there was a review process that was conducted to promote changes to the LAC-IGF as the region's main dialogue space for discussing internet public policy issues. And this review process involved consulting, open consultation processes, several open calls, and also a discussion that was held at the LAC-IGF event in 2019 in La Paz, Bolivia. And as a result of this consultation and discussion process, in July 2021, the program committee adopted a new bylaws document that includes new definitions on the scope, the participation, the processes, and the structures for the regional forum. And I wanted to share this, the new LAC-IGF bylaws, so you can also access it. I share it in the chat. And as you will see, these new bylaws establish different operating mechanisms that, those that are different to the ones that existed until now, and which are designed to enhance the levels of representation and participation. And as a result, we're currently going through a transition process towards the full implementation of these new mechanisms, these new structures and roles that were defined for the LAC-IGF. As we move forward in the transition and implementation of the new bylaws, the program committee has announced the organization of the 15th edition of the LAC-IGF that is going to be held online from October 24th to 26th. And to define the agenda for this 15th edition of the LAC-IGF, we wanted to propose a public consultation on the topics that were identified by the UN Secretary General for the Global Digital Compact. And the purpose of this public consultation is to determine 4 priorities of the regional internet community that are going to be included and addressed in the agenda for the event. So I kindly invite everyone to contribute to the shaping of the agenda for LAC-IGF 15. And also I would like to share with you in the chat the link where you can access all the relevant information and participate in the public consultation. And the deadline to participate is August 2028. And once this public consultation period is over, the results will be processed by the LACNIC program committee, and after that, we will publish the final agenda that is going to be shaped and developed with the contributions of the community. And finally, I wanted to talk about the call for a new secretariat. So as I was talking about, in order to move forward with the implementation of the new LACNIC bylaws, the program committee is also planning a call for organizations interested in acting as the secretariat for the regional forum. This role, as you probably know, have been performed by LACNIC very successfully and efficiently since the beginning of the LACNIC in 2008. And 2 years ago, LACNIC announced that it had decided to open this space for other organizations that might wish to act as the secretariat of the regional forum. For this reason, the selection of the new secretariat will be a key step in the process of implementing the new structures and roles of the LACNIC, and this organization that will take on the role of secretariat will be in charge of advancing the implementation of the new mechanisms established in the new bylaws. And the program committee is currently working on the process for the selection of the organization that will take on this role, and we expect to publish the call for the interested organizations very soon. Once again, I kindly invite all interested stakeholders in the Caribbean community who would like to serve as the LACNIC Secretariat to submit their applications once the call is announced. So that was all I wanted to share today. I see that Ignacio Estrada Nacho is also connected to the call. I don't know, Nacho, if you would like to add something to the report. And also I welcome any questions you may have. Thank you very much.
So much, Rocio, for those updates from the LAC TLD. And yes, you guys can check out the links that Rocio mentioned. And we have lots more coming up today for Internet Governance Forum. We are going to have some amazing panelists and speakers on your way. And of course, you are just heard from Rabindra Jaggernauth, Willis Williams, Rocio de la Fuente, Anya Gengo. And coming up in just a bit, we're going to have some words from Obed, Sindy. But in the meantime, we'd like to invite our next speaker.
Hello, hi everyone. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, so
Miguel Estrada to speak next. Thank you so much, Miguel.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to be sharing my little presentation. I don't know if you can see my screen right now. It seems you can. So I'm going to speak about the Internet technical success factors. This is a study that has been commissioned by APNIC, our friends from APNIC and LACNIC and ours. It was done by Analysis Mason, a global consulting firm specialized in telecommunications, media, and technology. And this study has contributions from people like Vincent Cerf, Alistair Cooper, Olaf Kolkman. There are many people involved. The idea of this study was to kind of understand how or why the internet as a successful story. What were these technical factors for its success? So the initial development of the internet was based on openness, simplicity, and decentralization, as you can see on the screen. these ideals were firstly proposed by Vincent Cerf and Bob Kahn, but many other fathers of the internet were involved there. The adoption of these three guiding ideals were the result of conscious decisions made by those people. These ideals there were translated into the design principles of the internet. We can identify these three design principles. The one is layering. This means that the applications are separated from the underlying networks, allowing them to evolve in some parts of the internet without affecting the others. The IP protocol is central in this principle, and this principle enables the other two. The network of networks principle, that means that each network can operate independently of the others as long as they all use the common protocols, as we already know, to route traffic. And this also allows existing networks to connect to the internet while new networks are deployed. So each one of them is adapted to its technology and environment. And the third principle will be the end-to-end principle. It means that intelligence resides in the end devices at the edge of the network rather than in the router, within the routers at the core networks. So this means that applications can be developed and deployed without requiring changes to the whole network. So these principles were kind of molded by the ideals. I'm going to go quickly through this because I have little time to present, but the openness ideal somehow brought this network of network principles and the end-to-end principle. That means that anyone can develop new applications and anyone can access them, as well as to develop new network technologies and connect them all each other through the internet. The simplicity ideal it was translated into the layers principle, expressed by the separations of these layers, so that what happens in one layer can be independent from the other layers. And the decentralization ideal was translated into the network of networks also, and the end-to-end principle. The decentralization kind of distributes intelligence and functions to the edges and no within the network. So each part of the internet can evolve without affecting others. So after the study, we identified these 4 dimensions of success. One is adaptability, other scalability, and the other flexibility, and the other is resilience. So what we mean by scalability? We can speak about scalability in terms of users and services. The internet has been capable to scale, to bring new, to grow its in number of users, and also growing number and in different number of services. Regarding flexibility, we know that it has been flexible to new network technologies. There have been many new technologies that have been developed through the years, and the internet was there. Nothing had to change within the internet in order for those different kind of networks to connect. And finally, adaptability. The internet has been adapted to new applications as I know the DNS, the World Wide Web, FTP. Many new applications were created after the invention of the internet, and the internet has been capable to adapt to them. So following the previous mapping, but now speaking about the dimensions of success, the networks of network principle and the end-to-end principle had collaborated, I would say, in the scalability of the internet. As new networks can continue to emerge independently, and while relying on the intelligence on the edge of the system, the internet has been capable to grow, as I was saying before, in the number of users and also in the number of services. Regarding flexibility, the layering principle and the end-to-end principle were the ones kind of responsible to bring flexibility to the internet, allowing networks to develop and grow independently of each other and also applications. The layering principle has been collaborating with the adaptability dimension of success, allowing applications to be developed independently of the underlying network technologies. And finally, regarding resilience, the layering principle and also the network of network principle, it means that, for example, if one particular network goes offline, the internet can route traffic around the network without the need for applications running on another layer to be even aware of that change. So the data would be rerouting without applications knowing about that. So the conclusions of the study, the success of the internet has made it the world's most important system for connecting people and sharing information. This is something we already know. The internet design's principles mean that anyone can connect and use it to distribute any type of content. And as the internet evolves, we believe that it is important to recognize and preserve these guiding ideals and design principles that contributed to the scalability, flexibility, adaptability, and resiliency of the internet. And any proposal involving radical changes to the internet should be evaluated in the context of its ability to maintain its dimensions of success. So that's it. I hope I could fit on time. If you want more information, if you need more information about the study, you can visit lacnic.net/internet study. And that's it. Thank you very much for the time and space, and hope you have a great event.
So much to Mr. Miguel Estrada. He's the Chief Strategic Relations Officer at LACNIC. And thank you to all of our speakers so far. Definitely informative. We're having a wonderful time so far. And it's time for us to jump into a 15-minute coffee break. So hold tight. You're going to be entertained. Let's play some games. Who wants to play some word scramble? Hidden in the virtual booths of this week's events and partners are some letter cards. So once you locate all the letters, just head over to the engagement page where you guys will find all the contests available for the week. All you have to do is submit the word in the word scramble contest for today. The first person to correctly submit the word will win, get this, a US $50 Amazon gift card. And I know you guys love to shop online, so that's going to come in handy. This game is only going to be open for 5 minutes, so your time is limited. So head on over there and play our word scramble game. We'll be right back. So much more in store in the CIGF this year. I'm DJ Anna. We hope you guys enjoyed that segment. A little game for you guys. We have extended the time for the game, however, so you guys just have to head over to the engagement tab to view the contest rules. Now, let's welcome once again Mr. Nigel Cassimire to present on Caribbean IG policy framework and policy priorities for current and future attention. Mr. Nigel Cassimire.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Anna. Am I being heard, I hope? Yes? Okay. Just before I get into this particular presentation, I want to acknowledge that I did notice a question coming in from my earlier presentation from Nicole Cole. And her question was, how will the CTU coordinate better? Has there been remarkable improvement in working with all these multitude of stakeholders? Is your methodology within the coordinating mechanism sustainable? And there isn't a clear yes or no answer to those questions. I think we are evolving through the process. So, and we are also learning from experience. So over the years that we've run the CIGF, we have worked with a lot of different stakeholders and partners, and the number has grown, and we've learned how to do it better. So we've been learning and getting a bit better in how we handle and run this CIGF. We still, however, as I said, in that transition from the from to the to, where we have a coordinating mechanism. And we're still a bit challenged with coming up with the appropriate coordinating mechanism. And what we would like to have, we meaning the CTU, is to have that coordinating mechanism be a multi-stakeholder group of people, rather than just continuing to depend upon the CTU to convene the stakeholders. Let's see if we could establish a standing arrangement, and that is still evolving. I'll say that is still evolving. So thank you very much for the question, Nicole, and maybe over the course of these 3 days, some ideas might come out that could help us move along. So yes, I will share my screen here to facilitate this part of the presentation. And let me just put this into presentation full mode, slideshow mode, I should say. There you go. Essentially, here I'll be focusing on the Caribbean Internet Governance Policy Framework, which is where our policy priorities are recorded. I mentioned that we did this document first issued in 2009 and last issued in 2016, and we are right now in the process of reissuing it, of updating and reissuing it. So this is, from my presentation, you'll be able to understand where we are in the process and maybe how you can contribute to it. We've talked about internet governance all morning so far, and I think it might be useful for the uninitiated among us to see a short definition which had been developed since 2005 by a UN working group on internet governance. And incidentally, that UN working group on internet governance had at least 2 Caribbean members on it. One was from Trinidad and Tobago, Ms. Jacqueline Morris, and one was from Barbados, who was the Geneva ambassador at the time, Trevor, I forget his last name. Lewis, it could be, but I stand to be corrected. But Trinidad and Tobago and Barbados were part of the work at that time. And they came up with this definition, which I think has stood the test of time. That internet governance is the development and application, and that underlined section there is the multi-stakeholder element by governments, by private sector, and civil society in their respective roles. What are they developing and applying? They're developing and applying shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures and programs that shape the evolution and use of the internet. So that covers technical matters, it covers operational matters, it covers legal matters, the broad range of issues related to making the internet work and facilitating the orderly use of the internet. So basically when we say internet governance, that's what we are talking about. So all these stakeholders have a role, and the objective is that we develop these shared principles and norms for the internet to evolve, continue to evolve and grow. So the policy framework that I mentioned, from the proceedings of our CIGFs, our Internet Governance, Caribbean Internet Governance Forum over the years, we've recorded outcomes. We've recorded consensus positions that have been developed over time. All right, and we've recorded it in a high-level policy advisory document. We say it's multi-stakeholder sourced because we sourced it from this multi-stakeholder group, and it has been compiled by the CTU. Among other things, it articulates a vision for internet governance, actually a vision for a Caribbean internet society, and a mission for internet governance in the Caribbean. It provides policy-making principles and guidelines for policy development. So what it recorded was areas where we noted the need for national and regional policies to be developed. It identified and focused on, again, I've said this many times, highest priority areas, because it's such a broad area. We focused on what we needed to do now, and as time has evolved, that has evolved a little bit as well. Just to give you an example of how things have evolved, back in 2005 when we first started, among the priorities was basically getting electricity out to some rural areas in some of the Caribbean territories. That's not so much of a priority now because some progress has been made. And of course, this policy framework is presented and or endorsed from time to time by CTU ministers. I mentioned that we have these CTU channels that we can use to bring it to the attention of our ministers and heads of government. So from time to time, we would present it to them. And typically that time to time is whenever we have a new issue of the document. Right, so what's the current status of the policy framework document? The current status is that we are at issue 3.0, which was last issued in 2016. And it was reviewed and approved, shall I say, at the 12th Caribbean Internet Governance Forum that was held in Belize in 2016. The presentation has the link to the document. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of the document before I move on too much further. But that's the current issue, and that's the issue we are working on updating. The policy framework document, well, it says will undergo, but is undergoing periodic review based on evolving global issues and Caribbean priorities. And any amendments proposed since 2016 will be taken into account in issue 4.0. I've stopped saying when we hope to finish it now because we've had challenges over the last couple of years with COVID and other resource constraints to keep a targeted schedule. This slide kind of gives you the table of contents of what the policy framework contains. A short introduction and a section on the basis and the aims of the policy framework. It includes the definition of working of internet governance that I showed you a couple slides ago. It includes our statement of vision for the Caribbean Information Society, statement of mission for Caribbean internet governance, and guiding principles that we are agreeing to work by with respect to internet governance in the Caribbean. The next section is the meat of the matter, essentially, where the policy framework is laid out. And it is divided up into 6 different priority areas. And these are 6 priority areas that we had identified and agreed from discussions in the CIGF over the years. And the way we have it currently categorized is these current 6 areas are infrastructure for broadband connectivity, the internet technical infrastructure, that would include things like internet exchange points, IP related things, cyber security, and actually I say the technical aspects of internet security. And any operational dimension, the domain name system, for example, the .coms and the .orgs and so on. That's under that particular priority area. Then there are legal frameworks and enforcement. So what about things like intellectual property, like privacy, and how do we enforce these things? When people commit crimes on the internet, what are the legal, what are the laws in place that we can use to prosecute perpetrators of crime? So legal frameworks and enforcement is another. Development of internet content, and particularly local content, local Caribbean content on the internet is another priority area that we had identified. The 5th area is public awareness and capacity building, which of course is definitely required, because if we want to grow and use the internet, people have to know, people have to be aware of what's possible and understand how to exploit it. And the last area was research. We have to measure and track growth, measure and track usage, identify issues with growth that might be hindering, and so on. And so this is an area where our academics and our governments, and in fact anybody, can provide data that can guide policy making. So those are the 6 key areas that have been identified in the policy framework. The policy framework also goes on to talk about what's the operational structure for us to continue to develop appropriate policies. And an example of that was the same diagram that I showed, where the from and to, which showed a structure for us to undertake our work. Implementation strategy, and there was also discussion about measurement and monitoring, and the allowance for periodic review of the policy framework, which is basically the way we operate. So this gives you a sense of what's in the policy framework. And the one key function or task in the CIGF has been to review the policy framework, and we usually would have a workshop session where we look at it in detail, maybe have some working groups focusing on working groups of maybe specialists in legal, looking at the legal section, and coming out from those discussions with recommendations for revision of the framework. This year we don't have time during the 3 days for such workshops this time, although we did do it last year. But the mode we want to proceed with is what I'll discuss shortly, in terms of maybe using our online facilities. So we're moving from issue 3.0 to issue 4.0. So we're trying to develop issue 4.0. We've been reviewing issue 3.0 over the years, and this is giving you a sense of where we are in terms of the status of it. The section on basis and aims of the policy framework, where we reviewed, which contains the vision for Caribbean Information Society and mission for Caribbean Internet Governance, as well as the guiding principles, those were reviewed in a workshop session at the CIGF back in 2020, in the 16th CIGF. So we do have some text, some revised text available for that, for the next issue. As far as the main strategic priority areas, at last year's CIGF, we were able to undertake a review of 3 of the 6. That's the infrastructure, internet technical infrastructure, and the legal frameworks elements. And we have 3 of the 6 still to be reviewed. The other sections of the operational structure, implementation strategy, and so on, we also have those to be reviewed. As I mentioned, we won't be undertaking workshops during this particular CIGF 3 days, but the plan is to use our online forum on the CTU website, which I'll kind of explain to you coming up now. Right, so what do we want you to contribute? Again, as I said, all stakeholder views are invited and welcome. You are asked to review the Caribbean Internet Governance Policy Framework Issue 3.0. Oh, okay. I seem to have, no, I did put in the link on an earlier slide. Okay, I thought I'd forgotten to put the link in. Yes, you are asked to review it. And also follow the Internet Governance Content and Discussion Forum on the CTU website. Over the years, over the last 3 years, I think, we have upgraded our website to include this online discussion forum functionality. Over the past couple COVID impacted years, however, we haven't been able to properly revitalize and moderate the online fora on the website. But from this year actually, some of the resources in the CTU Secretariat have been enhanced. So I think we have a better opportunity to make the online discussion forum more vibrant. And what I will take the opportunity to do here is to maybe take you to our website so that you can see how you can possibly find and contribute to the work that I'm talking about. All right, so if I leave my presentation for a second. And share instead from the CTU website what this issue 3.0 looks like. This is the cover of the policy framework document. This is the same table of contents I showed you just now. So when you see it on the CTU website, you can go through it yourself. It's not a terribly long document. It's just over 20 pages. So we would definitely appreciate your review and feedback on it. Let me I'm a little challenged with Windows here, is what's happening. What I was trying to do is all right, let me just stop here so I can, for a second, so I can do what I need to do. Sorry about that. And reshare now. Right, so this is what you see when you go to the CTU website at ctu.int. It's basically some scrolling banners, and the banners will scroll in terms of events that we have ongoing or soon to come, and this is one of them. I mentioned the discussion forums. Up at the top here, you see a button for discussion forums. So if you click on this button for discussion forum, you see we have discussion fora for spectrum management, for internet governance, and other general things. So what you are asked to do is basically go to the discussion forum. We're doing internet governance right now. We click on internet governance, and it'll take you to a page to register. You do have to register on the forum in order to certainly make contributions. If you don't necessarily have to register on the forum in order to view certain documents that might be posted there. But certainly if you want to make a comment and so on, you would have to register. When you submit your registration information, it has to be approved, so it's a moderated forum. So we would see your request for registration and respond in terms of approval of your registration. So just for the purposes of this particular demonstration, if we go to view the forum for internet governance, what's currently there? What's currently there is information related to the 17th CIGF, that's last year's. Actually, I'll also take you to where you can find the report from last year. There is a document related to updating the Caribbean Internet Governance Policy Framework to version 4.0. And this was a document that we had prepared, well, I think probably before or after the CIGF last year. And there are other relevant documents. For example, there's a best practices document here as well. So as you can see, it says you must be logged in to create new topics. You must also be logged in to respond or submit a comment. So you're invited to go to the CTU website at ctu.int and join the discussion on our discussion forum. If I go back to the CTU homepage, on the CTU homepage, there is this set of tabs across the top here. If you go to projects and initiatives, one of them is internet governance, and you can go to Caribbean Internet Governance Forum. I'll click there. The banner on this page is actually a picture from our 15th anniversary edition of the CIGF, where we actually recognized persons who had made significant contributions to the progress of the CIGF and internet governance generally in the Caribbean. And they were awardees from Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica at that time. So you scroll down that page, which has Caribbean Internet Governance Forum, and you can see links to the policy framework, which I just kind of introduced to you. And there are also links to the reports of previous years. This is the most recent one from the 17th. We are now on the 18th. There are also, so down at the bottom, there are all the related records, all the way back to 2005, when we first started. Right, so the CTU website is a good resource, and we propose to take your comments related to the update of the policy framework via our discussion forum on the CTU website. Okay. All right, I think I'll stop there in terms of sharing and the discussion of the policy framework. and maybe ask if we have any questions that may be available from the audience at this point. I'm not seeing anything that has yet popped up on my chat anyway. Let me ask my colleagues. Okay, you can bring it on. All right, so we have no questions at the moment, but we were missing one of our Caribbean reports from earlier in the morning, which was from Haiti, and that would have been presented by Mr. Obed Sindy. What happened is that he lost connection, but he's back on now, and we can invite Mr. Sindy to make his presentation now related to the Haiti IGF.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
You're not coming through in our room, but you might be.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Much better.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for including IGF in this session, in this Caribbean conversation. This is very important. Thank you for this invitation. For the first time, we have a first national IGF, in 2018 on internet access and connected and build the future on digital future in Haiti. So this first conversation was about access to see how we can have the actors and stakeholders on the table on access in Haiti. It was very a great conversation and a forum debate, and we had received international speakers like Shernon, Osepa, from Internet Society. We have received support also from LACNIC, from Kevon, and good support also from UN, IGF, Secretariat with Anja. Thank you. It was the first time. So with the first debate, it was very important. We want to move forward with a action. We put on the table all our challenge, a national challenge, and for example, the price of the internet, and so something like that, and the benefit we can have with community networks, and how we can identify connected people or unconnected people in area that are not connected in cities and other areas. So it was a good conversation. So, but we conclude that with community networks, we can community networks can help us. In this access problem, in challenge problems. Yes, and for the first time, we want to identify access cities and cities we have access on the internet, and cities who have not access. We have access on the internet. This is why, with the help of Internet Society Foundation, we prepare a key report on internet access in Haiti to identify cities that are not covered by internet, and after this report, we want to have a project to support communities with hub, for example, because we want to have debate as a civil society organization or association, but we want to make actions to follow up with these activities, with these debates. We have also after this forum, we have also a capacity building project named CN Skills with a Internet Society Foundation. With CN Skills, we want to prepare a professional, prepare a university student to have technical skills in community networks to help us in our future future project on these community networks. And in 20 we have another forum in 2020. It was online because of COVID-19. In this forum, we spoke about capacity building to get connected, because we think that we have to professional, we have technical skills to support us in our project. This is very, very important for us. So we think that the first way we want to discuss about other subjects, ethical intelligence, artificial intelligence, inscription, and internet way of networking, or the subject that we require strong policies in Haiti. This is very important for us. So, but we think that the first way is to have access and to have a good citizen prepared to connect on the internet. We have also a project. We have a community. We have meeting on digital citizenship. We have meeting on a digital identity, and we have also a good online reputation on social media. Some subject like that. this is very important. A subject on cybersecurity. We support the Haiti CyberCon, who has a conference, a national conference on cybersecurity. It was very important, and we are very proud of that. Thank you so much for the invitation. And if you have a question, I will be happy to answer this question. Thank you so much.
Mr. Obed, Sindy, for giving us that update on the IGF activities in Haiti. And ladies and gents, we have some exciting activities lined up for you. How much do you know about the Caribbean or small island developing states? Well, we want to know. So head over to the engagement tab where you'll find all the contests available for the week. These contests will be available for 10 minutes each day. We're going to test your knowledge to see how much you know. So how well do you know the Caribbean? How well do you know the SIDS? Well, complete the quiz correctly within the 10-minute time frame to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Yes, a $100 Amazon gift card for your shopping pleasure. And after you've played, just join us at 1 p.m. for the first ever Caribbean Youth Internet Governance Forum, or the CIGF. We're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun, so enjoy your lunch break and enjoy the games. I'm DJ Anna. We'll be back for your CIGF.